Awesome. All right,
Have a
we're rolling.
conversation.
Okay. All right.
Hey guys, it's Rick and Maya
Hi.
from the Lincoln Project.
How you doing?
We're doing a thing this week in Chicago called Conversations and Cocktails.
Yeah.
We were going to call it the group chat, but honestly, the fact that most group chats don't really include cocktails or really good conversations sort of made us say no to that idea.
Yeah, and I feel like this week requires cocktails, but for a good reason.
Yes.
Because,
More celebratory than dread, I
Yeah.
think. It's finally the way.
yes, I think we're toasting to a lot of things. I think
We
it's
have been.
the downward spiral of Trump and the upward spiral
Of Harris.
Yes.
You know, we were talking a few minutes ago. The reason we started doing this little video was it's like she's so bulletproof from the sky. She's so able to ride out every single one of his stupid attacks and the nicknames and the racial garbage and everything else. She just lets it go. She's like, nope.
Unflappable.
Decline.
Absolutely unflappable. And, you know, as he's downward spiraling even more so today, what I find is really interesting is for some reason he thinks that he's not predictable. Like he thinks he's
Right.
this unpredictable character that's going to catch her off guard with
Right.
this attack or that attack. And so he's trying all these angles. I think somebody today tried the angle of, oh, she's a drinker. She's a heavy drinker. And it's like they're going down this list of attacks.
Listen, I'm telling you, his brain is so broken by the end of this, he's going to say things like shiftless and the N-word. I promise you, he cannot stop himself.
Well, he started there, I feel like, and now he's circling around. He's like, they're like, no, you can't say any of that, Donald. So he's circling around.
They
And
got the
he's gonna
shot
come
collar
back.
on him.
Yeah.
Don't say the N-word.
But eventually, once he realizes, I mean, he realizes, but once he really realizes he's going to lose, that's when he's most dangerous because he's going to feel like he has nothing
I think
to
that's
lose.
exactly right because he right now still feels like maybe I can pull some bullshit. Maybe I can somehow finally get to her. Maybe a Fox reporter will trap her in a question. But I'm sorry, most of the show we've seen so far, and especially this week, the communist stuff, the she's a drinker, she's a Wiccan, all the garbage.
Oh, I haven't heard the Wiccan.
Oh yeah, they're posting these memes. They're posting these memes of her with like the devil behind her. I'm like,
Oh, I didn't see that. Is
and
that
of
what
course,
that is?
of
Okay.
course, they posted it. She looks like Maleficent. And I'm like, I want to look her more
I
now.
was like, she looks beautiful.
Right?
Which, by the way, that's the thing that I'm sticking with this.
Maya's theory. By
It's
the
theory.
by the time this is all over, I don't think it'll be a theory anymore. I think it'll be a proven scientific construct. Is that Donald Trump wants to sleep with her?
Yes, absolutely.
That he is hot for her.
Yeah, it dawned on me.
Grilled artichokes. Yes. We're good for the moment, though. Thank you so much. If you don't think we're eating grilled artichokes, crab cake, and roasted carrots right now, you'd be mistaken.
Yeah, this is a dinner chat as well, in addition
It is
to a
the dinner
cocktail
chat.
chat. But absolutely, there was a moment where he was speaking about Kamala Harris, I should say, and I was like, there's something I recognize about this. Oh, this is the angry white guy who wants to have sex with this hot black woman and can't, and knows she will reject him. I'm like, I've seen this time and time again in my life.
It's negging. It's like the pickup bro, like, hey, you'd be prettier if your hair was a little blonder.
Yeah.
Garbage. But for him, it's like, she's not really beautiful. They made her beautiful on the cover of the magazine, and I stared at it for a very, very long time. I could take my eyes off of it, and then I had to print it out because the first one got messy, you know?
Well, it's like he's like looking at it like one of those paintings where like the things are constantly changing, really just trying to. And here's the thing, like it's enough that she's smarter than.
Sure.
It's enough, like that right there.
That's a big deal right there.
He knows he can't out-strategize her. He can't outthink her.
She's failed on that since she got it.
Yeah,
a month ago.
Sees it coming, and so for him, he's got this impending doom that he's dealing with, and it's being handed to him by somebody who he wants to sleep with.
It's everything he hates.
Yeah.
He can't have her. She's smarter than he is. She's younger. She's better looking. She's quicker on her feet. And nobody saw this. Maybe some people saw it coming, but Trump didn't see it coming. That she'd be better on television than him. That she works the camera better than he does. And Trump is always, let's be honest, he's a talented performer. He always knew where the camera was. He always knew how to do his little physicality bits. But she's actually better at it. And we were talking about this before we came on the video. when she had a heckler a week or two ago, she instantaneously, she didn't do the Trump thing, which is like, throw them out, kick their ass. What she recognized was that she could make a point to the audience and to America that was smarter and more useful. And she said, keep it up. You're helping Trump. If you want Trump elected, keep doing what you're doing.
Okay.
And it reframed the whole conversation very quickly. And I think that really speaks to an acute political sense and an acute intellect. And no one's ever going to accuse Donald Trump of having either of those.
Well, her ability to respond quickly under pressure in a way that evolves the conversation instead of diminishes it is why she's such a capable leader.
I think that's right. It's like, and she's not drilling down into like the depths of Elizabeth Warren style policy mojo weirdo stuff. It's talking about like, we're going to make life better for average Americans. We're going to stop big corporations from screwing people, you know. And in the framing of this populist stuff she's been doing this week, I think it's been calibrated so perfectly because it speaks to people who do feel like they played by the rules, they worked hard, they went to college, and big insurance companies and big banks and energy companies and all these other things that have come together and basically become these conglomerates are screwing them.
Right. Well, and
you know, Trump's going to be like, what does Elon need? Not what does some guy in Kankakee, Illinois need?
Well, he's making it very obvious, too, because in the Twitter spaces, the message, he starts talking about workers and union workers and wanting to, you know, just fire people who are attempting to organize.
I have to say that was on the top 10 dumbest damn things I've ever seen in my goddamn life.
The entire Twitter spaces or that particular part of it?
Look, the entire Twitter space is like it's like if there was a mountain of dumbness, like an Everest-style mountain of dumbness, that would have been at the very shining pinnacle of Mount Stupid. But when he starts talking about like firing workers, and he and the other are like,
and it's like, you know that America is listening to this, and it's creating a little bit of cognitive dissonance, I think, for the people who are then looking at Tim Walz, which is an amazing choice for Kamala Harris right now, because with him, people see themselves in him, right? And so,
we were talking about this earlier. Whitney, our producer, is also here. We were talking about this earlier. It's like Tim Walz is a guy who knows how to do things, like can use tools, can help people, can you know, do things that relate to the lives of real people. Somebody said today, he's like, well, he's the only person who hasn't been a lawyer on the ticket, and on the top or bottom ticket for like 400 years or whatever it is. I'm like, shut up. There are plenty of lawyers in the world, and they're not necessarily good presidents. This guy has resonated with America, and all the stuff they've been trying on him is just falling apart. Folks. And again, we put out an ad this week about stolen valor, and they were trying to make Tim Walz into stolen valor. He works for Colonel Von Pussy Grabber, the notorious draft dodger, a guy who, when in the Vietnam War, 58,000 men were losing their lives. Donald Trump was chasing Strange in New York City and bragging about it. I mean, I can't look. I know Chris LaCivita was hired because he did the Swift Boat thing originally, but even he had to know that it was going to go over like a fart in a hurricane. Nobody was going to notice it, or they were going to be offended by it, you know?
Well, that's the thing. It seems like, you know, in chess, how it's like, oh, you're supposed to think several moves ahead. They're not even able to think half a move ahead. Like, they're not thinking about how it's going to be counted.
Eating the pieces and like, these are delicious.
They're like, is this even chess? I don't know what this is. And so, which is on a certain level is why I'm so joyful. It's why I'm having my cocktail. It's a non-alcoholic cocktail because I'm worried about my skin. But
I'm clearly not worried about my skin.
This is tasty. It's tequila sunrise.
My skin is basically the consistency of a football left in a swamp to cure for 50 years. But that's just me. No, but I mean, and it's interesting to be here at this convention so far, and the upbeat mood of people at this convention so far has been amazing. And the only person who's been really sour was my old boss. We saw Rudy Giuliani at the airport today, and that went well.
You know, and I'm the fact that the city is so welcoming and so prepared, like Chicago's very prepared for the convention, and people are excited. Like even our waitress tonight, our server tonight, was excited, and she's like, "Oh, are you here for the DNC?" And we said yes, and she's like, "I'm actually volunteering for a couple of days," and that's the energy that this campaign is bringing. Is that people from all over are interested in helping out. Like,
and you know what? And it doesn't look like this big protest stuff is going to. It'll be here. There'll be some protesters. We saw some tonight, but the police are here. They're out in great numbers. It looks like they're going to handle this very professionally, quietly, and sorry, Trump campaign, you're not going to get your 1968, Chicago, burning down riots.
Yeah. I unfortunately, and actually,
I feel for him.
Yes, well, because the law and order candidate, he was supposed to be the law and order candidate, and
back to blue,
right? But he's been constantly rooting against law enforcement,
right.
And so
actually didn't vote against it. He made his minions vote against a border bill that would have provided thousands of new Border Patrol agents, hundreds of new helicopters, sensors, cameras, computer systems, barriers, vehicle tracking, all these things, anti-fentanyl efforts, and huge billions of dollars for the anti-fentanyl efforts, billions of dollars worth of efforts to stop human trafficking. He told his people, vote against it because I want to win. I want to be here to run on.
Yeah.
And I think two things are happening simultaneously. First off, the border under Biden, even without that bill, has become much more secure. Mm-hmm. And it's really it's freaked Trump out almost as much as Harris. The economy doing well has freaked Trump out almost because he's, last Thursday's press conference where he's like, I'm taking these Cheerios back to my cabin to pleasure myself in their presence. Whatever that was. But he keeps trying to show doom and gloom, and everywhere we turn, now look, folks, nothing's perfect yet. Nothing's where we want it to be. But the world is not doom and gloom right now.
No.
The inflation has been plunging. We're going to get a rate cut from the Federal Reserve soon. The stock market, pensions, and 401ks are doing great. Gas prices are coming down. Not as far as people want, but they're coming down.
Yeah.
The border is more secure. All these things.
And all over the world, people are choosing democracy. In France, they're people are making that choice that is the hopeful choice that is representative of where people are right now. And no one's buying the doing good anymore.
Right. In France and in England, you saw coalitions of people who had, kind of like the Lincoln Project, folks, coalitions of people who may not have had a lot in common. There were people in the French coalition who were from the center right to the far, far left. And they realized one thing: if you let the nationalist, populist authoritarians win, you never get another election. And in England, after years of the Tories doing this damaging, horrible, Brexit BS that's crippled the country's economy, it's like, no, we're done. We're done. And I think that's where America's just about out, folks. I think America has said, we're done with the Trump bullshit. We're done with this show. And when you've got someone like Harris who exudes hope and optimism and confidence and competence, I mean, that's an easy choice for people to make. It's still going to be, guys, we're 79 days out. Yeah. It's still going to be a hell of a ride.
Yeah, pedal on the floor, to the floor.
We're going to run through the tape, I assure you.
Yeah.
And look, there will be good days and bad days. We all know this is how life works. There will be good days and bad days. We will have days where she stumbles, or they land a blow, or they land a hit. Don't fall for the shit. Because at the minute they land even a small hit on her somewhere, they're going to be like, the election is over. It's done. This is all there is to it. Now America's decided she's a communist or whatever crap it is, right?
Share with Maya what you said today to that guy.
No, yeah. So we see Rudy in the airport, and his body man looks at me and goes, it's like, oh, you work for him, right? I'm like, in another life. And then he goes, can Trump still win? And I made sure Rudy could hear it because I pitched my voice up big enough. It was like, absolutely not. It's all over. Trump's done. He's out.
I actually firmly believe that. I firmly believe that, and I think they know that in their heart of hearts, that there would have to be so many consecutive errors on the part of the Harris campaign.
And so far, they're a error-resistant operation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And even if they were to make error after error after error, the Trump camp would have to capitalize on that. And they've already proven it, that they are unable to run a normal campaign, let alone a strategic one. So I don't think we're in.
And the fact that he takes the bait on stupid shit, like the fact that we run ads and make him pissed off and threaten to sue us, and he spent a day working on that, guys. He's on day when there were 84 days to go in this campaign. He spent that day working up on this bullshit with his staff.
Yeah. If you were if you were to calculate, seriously though, I would love somebody at some point. This is what AI should be used for, is to calculate how much time. Like, I just want to see a pie chart of where this man diverts his time and his energy, where his campaign diverts his time and energy, and see what fraction of it is about actually helping the American people.
Or even communicating to most Americans.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of what they're doing now is trying to keep the base together so they can keep their fundraising machine, the email fundraising running for the last few weeks. But normal Americans, they're just not. They've become disconnected from the BS. They're not paying attention to it the way they used to. It doesn't work like it did.
I was going to say, his shtick doesn't work anymore. The jokes don't land the way they used to.
No.
And I think it's because people, the cognitive dissonance of seeing him ramble on and on and on, trip up his words.
Always. Just endlessly.
And it was different before when they could point to Biden and say, oh, well, look, Biden's doing this and Biden has this gaffe and this.
The old man.
But now they have nothing to compare it to other than Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And I thought we didn't even mention really JD Vance, which is funny because because we just kind of forgot he existed.
When you see the numbers that were out today, that JD Vance is less popular than Sarah Palin, that's like saying that like chlamydia is less popular than herpes. It's not a great bucket to be in regardless.
But also, I saw there was a poll. He's not popular with men either.
No.
Even men don't like JD.
If you want to talk about the most colossal failure of the Trump campaign so far, other than his shoes, it's JD Vance. I mean, and that really is like, this guy got bullied into it, talked into it, pushed into it by Elon and Peter Thiel and the large adult sons, and it just never entered their mind that this guy might not be good at this work
at all.
And it's work. You have to go out and connect to people. And the comic possibilities JD Vance were obvious from the beginning, and I think comedians are getting more out of it than JD Vance is getting out of this process at this point. It's a lot.
Where does he go from here? That's after this, because
it goes back in the Senate, I guess. He doesn't have to resign his seat in Ohio, from what I'm told. So we're not done with JD Vance, but he'll be a bitter bitch in the Senate. Oh, he'll be Captain Cranky Pants in the Senate.
But don't you think, though, the people of Ohio now really, because I don't think that they paid attention as much.
Oh, no. Yeah.
The first time around.
Now he doesn't get any of that softness from the hillbilly elegy and being a child of the meritocracy. Now he's just a weird mofo.
Yeah.
Now he's the couch guy.
Yeah.
Now he's Donald Trump's guy. And I don't think that spins or plays once he's up for re-election.
Exactly.
Again.
So that's what I'm saying. When I say where does he go from here, I'm like, where does he go? I feel like that this term that he's in will be the end of his
I think so too. Well, folks, we're going to be back every night this week, it looks like, doing this.
Hopefully with this lighting. To be honest with you, I love this lighting.
Right? It's so good. We're in the golden hour. But we're going to try to keep this up, and we'll do a lot of video and a lot of commentary from the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. We are right now in a beautiful restaurant called Evie, and we are going to enjoy some crab cakes, roasted carrots, and artichoke hearts.
I don't like artichoke hearts, but that's okay.
You can have more carrots and I'll eat more artichokes. All right, guys. Thanks. Good night. We'll see you soon.